The lights flicker once, then twice, then everything goes dark. You're standing in your kitchen, and the silence is deafening. No hum from the refrigerator, no glow from the microwave clock, just darkness, and the sudden realization that you have no idea when the power is coming back. You check your phone. The news says the grid is down across 3 counties. Estimated restoration time, 48 to 72 hours, maybe longer. Your neighbor already burned through his fancy emergency kit during the last outage, and now he's knocking on doors asking for batteries. Meanwhile, you're about to discover that the most critical survival tools aren't hiding in some overpriced prepper catalog. They're sitting on the shelves at your local grocery store right now, probably for less than $50 total. Stay with me until the end of this video, because item number 7 is something most people throw away without a second thought, but it could literally save your life when everything else fails. Let's get one thing straight right now. When the power dies, your biggest enemy isn't the darkness, it's time. You have maybe 4 hours before your refrigerator becomes a biohazard incubator. You have maybe 6 hours before your house temperature starts matching the outside air. And you have exactly 0 hours before panic sets in and your brain starts making stupid decisions. This is why your first grocery store purchase needs to be salt. Not just any salt. You want the cheapest, biggest container of plain table salt you can find. Forget the Himalayan pink stuff. Forget sea salt. You need basic sodium chloride in bulk, and here's why. Salt is a time machine. It stops bacterial growth completely. When the power goes out, you need to save whatever perishable food you have left before it rots. Pack your meat, cheese, and fish in layers of salt. It's the same technology that kept food edible for centuries before refrigeration existed. A 5-pound bag costs about $3 and can preserve enough food to feed your family for a week. But here's the secret most people miss. Salt also regulates your core body temperature. When you're stressed, cold, or sweating in a house with no climate control, your electrolyte balance crashes. A pinch of salt in water keeps your body running when everything else is breaking down. Sailors knew this, soldiers knew this, now you know this, but salt won't keep you warm when the temperature drops. This brings us to item number 2, and it's hiding in the baking aisle: vegetable shortening. Yes, that white brick of fat your grandmother used for pie crusts. It's about to become your emergency heating system. Take a can of shortening, stick a wick down the center made from twisted toilet paper or cotton string, and you've just built a candle that burns for over 100 hours. The fat is pure fuel. It burns clean, produces steady heat, and costs about $4. Compare that to store-bought emergency candles that burn out in 8 hours and cost twice as much. If you don't have a wick, you can tear a strip from an old t-shirt. As long as it reaches the fat, it works. But there's a critical rule. Never leave it unattended. Never use it inside a sealed room. The same carbon monoxide rules apply here as they do anywhere. Crack a window an inch. You need oxygen flow, or you're trading cold for something worse. 1 can of shortening in a terracotta pot creates radiant heat that warms a small room for days. That's the difference between uncomfortable and dangerous. Here's a question for you. How many days could you survive right now if the water stopped running tomorrow? Write your answer in the comments. Now let's talk about hydration, because this is where most people's plans fall apart in the first 12 hours. You've probably heard the advice to store bottled water. Fine. But bottles are expensive, they take up space, and in a real blackout lasting multiple days, you'll run out faster than you think. This is where item number 3 saves you. Bleach. Plain, unscented household bleach. A gallon costs $2 and can purify over 3,000 gallons of water. When the pipes run dry or the water becomes contaminated, you need a way to make any water source drinkable. The ratio is simple: 8 drops of bleach per gallon of water. Stir it. Wait 30 minutes. The chlorine kills bacteria, viruses, and parasites. It tastes like a swimming pool, but it won't kill you. Actually, it does the opposite. During Hurricane Katrina, people died from drinking contaminated floodwater. They had water everywhere, but it was toxic. Bleach would have saved them. Keep it away from food. Keep it away from kids. But keep it in your cupboard, because when the infrastructure fails, clean water is worth more than gold. Here's what nobody tells you about blackouts. The first night, you're annoyed. The second night, you're uncomfortable. By the third night, your mental state starts to crack. Boredom becomes depression. Depression becomes bad decisions. This is why item number 4 isn't about calories or warmth. It's about sanity. instant coffee. Not for the caffeine, though that helps. You need it because hot drinks create routine. They give your brain a task. Boil water, make coffee, hold something warm, and suddenly you feel human again instead of like a trapped animal. A jar of instant coffee costs $5 and doesn't need refrigeration, doesn't need a machine, doesn't need anything except heat and water. When everything is chaos, the ritual of making a hot drink brings order. It sounds soft, but psychological survival is just as real as physical survival. The people who keep their heads together are the ones who make it through. The ones who panic do stupid things like leaving their shelter to find a gas station that's been closed for 2 days. If you're getting value from this, hit that subscribe button and tap the like. It helps the algorithm show this to people who actually need it before the next storm hits. But let's get back to biology. You can survive 3 weeks without food. That's the saying. But that number assumes you're lying in bed doing nothing. In a blackout, you're hauling water, managing fire, keeping watch, and burning calories like crazy. Your body is a furnace, and it needs fuel. This is where item number 5 dominates everything else in the store. Peanut butter. It's perfect. High calorie density, doesn't need cooking, doesn't need refrigeration, and it's packed with fat and protein. A 2-pound jar has about 6,000 calories. That's 3 days of fuel for an adult. It costs $6. Compare that to freeze-dried survival meals at $15 for 600 calories. The math isn't even close. But here's the tactical advantage. Peanut butter is also a psychological anchor. It tastes good. It's familiar. When you're eating it, you don't feel like you're in a disaster. You feel like you're having a snack. That mental trick keeps morale high, and morale is everything in a crisis. Spread it on crackers if you have them. Eat it straight from the jar if you don't. Your body doesn't care about manners. It cares about fuel. Now we get into dangerous territory because item number 6 is something most people actively avoid in their normal lives. Lard, pure rendered animal fat. It sits in the grocery store looking forgotten and slightly gross, but in a blackout, it's a miracle substance. First, it's food. 1 tablespoon has 115 calories of pure energy. Second, it's a cooking fat that doesn't need refrigeration. You can fry food over an open flame without it going rancid for months. Third, and this is where it gets interesting, it's emergency medicine. Before antibiotics, people used lard-based salves to protect wounds. It creates a moisture barrier that prevents infection and promotes healing. If you cut yourself during a blackout and you have no first aid supplies, a clean layer of lard can buy you time until help arrives. Fourth, it's a fire starter. Soak a cotton ball in melted lard and it burns for 10 minutes, hot enough to ignite wet wood. A small tub of lard costs $4 and solves 5 problems at once. That's efficiency. Let's talk about light, because darkness does something to the human brain. It's primal. When the sun goes down and you have no lights, your cortisol spikes. Your fight or flight system kicks in even though there's no immediate threat. You just sit there, tense, waiting for something bad to happen. This is why item number 7 is non-negotiable. Aluminum foil. It sounds absurd until you see it in action. Take a single candle or flashlight and place it in front of a sheet of foil. The reflective surface doubles your light output instantly. You're not creating more light. You're redirecting the light that's already there. It turns 1 candle into 2, 1 flashlight into a lantern. You can also use foil to build a solar oven during the day. Fold it into a parabolic shape, angle it toward the sun, and you can boil water or cook food without any fuel at all. It costs $3 for a roll that lasts months. But here's the survival hack nobody thinks about. Foil is a signal device. If rescue teams or neighbors are searching, a sheet of foil reflects sunlight for miles. You can be seen from the air. You can be seen from across a field. In a real emergency, being found is everything. Here's the truth that separates survivors from statistics. Preparation isn't about buying the most expensive gear. It's about understanding physics and having the right cheap materials in place before the crisis hits. Salt preserves food and balances your body. Shortening becomes light and heat. Bleach purifies water. Coffee keeps your mind stable. Peanut butter fuels your engine. Lard solves 5 problems in 1 greasy package. And foil turns darkness into visibility. These 7 items cost less than $50 total, fit in a single grocery bag, and will keep you alive longer than a $1,000 prepper kit that's optimized for Instagram photos instead of reality. The next time you're at the grocery store, Grab these items, toss them in the back of your pantry. You'll forget they're even there, and that's fine. Because the moment the lights go out and your neighbor is panicking, you'll remember this video. You'll walk to your pantry, pull out your supplies, and you'll realize you just bought yourself time. And time, in a blackout, is the only currency that matters. So here's my question again. How many days could you survive right now with what's in your house? Write it in the comments. And if this video just changed your answer, hit that subscribe button so you're ready for whatever comes next. Stay safe, stay smart, and thanks for watching.